So let's get right into this explainer. Nigeria's 2027 presidential election. Yeah, it feels like it's a long way off, right? But believe it or not, the political conversation is already getting really hot. And it's all because of this incredibly early and very confident declaration that's coming from right inside the president's camp. And it all kicks off with this pretty powerful statement. Wow. I mean, that is a bold prediction. It really sets the stage for the whole next election cycle. It's just a totally clear, unambiguous claim of victory coming from a pretty important guy in the current administration. So you gotta ask, where is all this confidence coming from?
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to talk about the man who said these words and the proof he's offering for what he calls an unbeatable president.
The person making these claims is Bwala. He's President Tinubu's special advisor on policy communication. And because of his official role, these aren't just some off-the-cuff remarks. No, they are a very calculated piece of the political story being built from the top.
And look, Bwala's argument isn't just based on some gut feeling. He's pointing to very specific, concrete numbers in a really key region, a place that, wasn't exactly a stronghold for the president in the last election.
2 million. Yep, that is the exact number of votes Bwala is predicting for President Tinubu in the Southeast for 2027. And that is an unbelievably ambitious target, especially when you see what the numbers looked like before. I mean, just look at the massive scale of this predicted jump. The administration is forecasting a leap from just over 127,000 votes in 2023 all the way to 2 million in 2027. That's not just a little growth. That is a political earthquake. And here's Bwala himself, in his own words, guaranteeing a surge in votes that could literally redraw the country's electoral map. You can just feel the level of confidence there. So, okay, this huge prediction, it's not just about President Tinubu's own strength. It's also based on a very specific take on his rivals. So, how does the opposition look when you're standing inside the presidential villa? All right, first up on the list, Peter Obi. You remember, the 2023 Labour Party candidate. His campaign energized this massive youth-led movement. He was a huge force in the last election, so what's the thinking on where he stands now? So the view from Bwala's camp is that the support Obi had, well, it wasn't built to last. He's arguing it was based more on divisive rhetoric than, say, a solid political agenda. And because of that, he's claiming that Obi's voter base has already been slashed by more than half. But hey, it's not just about Peter Obi. There have also been whispers and calls for a very familiar face to get back on the political stage, former President Goodluck Jonathan. Bwala addresses this one head-on. He's suggesting that these calls for Jonathan to come back are basically a political trap. He's arguing it's an attempt by what he calls unscrupulous elements to trick the former president back into the game just to ruin the global reputation he's built since leaving office. Now, Bwala's case against a Jonathan comeback really has two parts. On one hand, he's questioning the real motives of the northern figures who are supposedly backing him now. He's saying they're the same people who pushed him out of power before. And on the other hand, he's pointing out that Jonathan's own political base in the South, well, it just isn't what it used to be. But this whole confidence story from the president's camp, it's not happening in a bubble. While all these predictions are being made, a really big countermove is apparently in the works. Yeah, the sources are showing that key opposition figures are definitely not just sitting around. They're reportedly doing the exact opposite. They're joining forces to create a single united front. And we're talking about some of the absolute biggest names in Nigerian politics here. You've got former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, you've got the 2023 favorite Peter Obi, and other heavy hitters like Nasir El-Rufai and David Mark, all possibly teaming up. So what this really boils down to is the central clash of the early 2027 race. On one side, you have this public, very confident declaration of being unbeatable. And on the other side, you have the quiet, strategic moves of political rivals coming together. A classic political showdown is already starting to form. And all of this leaves us with a really important question to think about. Besides just trying to predict what will happen, what's the actual strategy behind making such bold claims so early in the game? Is it about projecting strength? Is it about trying to demoralize your opponents? Or is it about framing the entire conversation for the next few years? The answer to that is probably going to define the entire road to 2027.